What's up, everybody? We are live one-on-one. I'm Don Drew, and I'm here with my man, Sneeds by Ree. Tyree, what's going on, bro?
Yo, what up, Don?
How's everything, man? How's Cali?
Starting to heat up. Starting to heat up.
So, let, let, let me ask you, Tyree, what was the origination of Sneeds?
A couple things. Um, so everybody knows, or if you didn't know, I work in the animation industry. Um, I work as a designer, a director, a producer, a writer. But a lot of the times, I'm basically doing services for other people, and I wanted to do something for myself, something that I could own. And the way I started that to think about that was, what are my loves? What am I into? What are my passions? And it came down to a couple of simple things. It's like I like hip hop, I like art, and I like sneakers and fashion. So how could I put all of my loves into one project, that was made by me? And it's funny that I say made by me because that's how Sneds by Ree came about. So I was perusing the blogs, like everybody else. Is this what is this like 2010? No, actually 2009 because it came out in 2010. And I'm just looking around, and then it's like I don't see anybody that really did anything like I did, or at least in the space in terms of like making comics involved with sneakers. Like the only artistic representation I saw of art and sneakers was customizers. But I was like, okay, well, where's what I do? Like I was kind of looking for it, and then that's when I discovered there was a little lane there. And I was looking at an interview with Levi Maestro when he was popping back then on Nice Kicks, and he was like, "Don't pay attention to what people are doing. Pay attention to what people aren't doing." So I kind of put two and two together. I was like, "Well, they're not making comics, and they're not like putting cartoons with sneakers." So I was like, "There's something I can do that people aren't doing." So I kind of concocted an idea. So like my first Sneds was about the copper foam posit, which ironically returns this year or return.
Yeah, returned.
Yeah, returned this year. And then so but at first it was going to be about the Space Jam for the 2009 release. But then I something about it just wasn't right. And I'd waited until I switched it to the copper foam posit, and then that's how the first Sneds was born. The first people I sent it to was G Rock over at the Shoe Game, and then the second person I sent it to was Matt Halfield over at Nice Kicks. Oh, and then let me back up a little bit. So 2010, I'm up at Riff LA, and I'm talking with Jeff, one of the owners over there. Shout out to Jeff and Ed. And Jeff is like, "Yo, like I've seen you around," kind of thing. Like I guess we have mutual friends. And then he knew that I did animation. And he was like, "Yo, wouldn't it be sick like if you did a cartoon?" Like he kind of sparked the idea too. So shout out to Jeff for giving me like that little inspirational tug. But yeah, so I put it out on those two publications, and they've been supporting ever since. And then I just kept doing them. Well, not consistently, but that's not my fault. I got a day job and stuff. But that's pretty much how I started.
Well, the day job is a pretty successful gig. I, you know, I've known you over the years a little bit, and you've grown into a pretty big role on Bob's Burgers, which is a super successful show on Fox.
Thank you.
So you go from now. Were you working at Bob's Burgers when you started Sneds?
Yeah. So here's the chronology. The I was working at a place called Wild Brain. I was directing on a campaign for Kraft Capri Sun called Disrespectoids. If anybody remembers, they had this thing about don't disrespect the pouch, respect it. And we did this cartoon, which ironically was designed. It had characters designed by Tristan Eaton at the time, and this is before he started doing the world-renowned style that he's doing now. So he was back there drawing cartoon characters like I was back then. So we were taking Tristan Eaton's designs and making these cartoons come to life. That was when Sned started in that same year. And then after that project was over, then I went over to Bob's Burgers. So if you talk about the rise, I started on Bob's Burgers as a storyboard artist in season one. In season two, I was an assistant director. And then season three on till today, I've been directing. And at this point, I'm up at like 23 episodes aired and maybe like another, I probably got like another 5 or 6 in production right now.
That's great.
Yeah. So yeah. So pretty much, we pretty much can say I've been on Bob's and Sned's have been concurrent since then.
So for those who haven't seen Sned's, you guys got to check it out. It's like
Check my shit out.
It's like a one-page like sneakerhead related comic. Some of them are real funny.
Others aren't.
Well, I think most of them are pretty. I think most of them are pretty good. You know, I think it's one of the unique things in the industry, and I guess that's where we'll head in an industry where there's not a lot of originality.
Right.
You know, and you've carved a space. You know, what is it? What do you, as a creator, as an artist, what is it like to you when you see all this parody and all this, you know, copycat kind of stuff?
I mean, luckily I am not copied because, you know, I do what I do and they still haven't done it. In terms of sneakers, it's not a matter of there's really not much else to do when you see a sneaker, right? Like it's a sneaker. And then when it comes to photography, everybody pretty much takes the same shots. You know, you got the blurred background and you got some ankles and you got a shoe. And, you know, or you got some cool jeans, you got some joggers, you know, some cool socks. I mean, that gives you what, 4 or 5 options. And then it grew into, okay, well, we got to get above people's ankles and calves. Let's start looking at outfits. So now people have started to graduate into, you know, more fashion territories where they realize the entire body is a canvas, not just your shoes and your feet.
But even the blogs, the blogs have become, you know,
no, they had to. They had to.
Terrible. And they've become cookie cutter. I mean, I don't think you can see. First of all, none of them do news. There's no actual news, and you know, I think it's actually spiraled downhill. As the funny thing is as the industry has grown in popularity, the content has regressed. I don't know if you see it the same way.
Well, the funny thing is, I'm so busy these days, I don't even get a chance to look at the blogs like I used to anyway. But in terms, okay, let's take it to the early part of the conversation, which you said about news. So, you know, I got to give a shout out to cats like my dude Jock Slade, Cousteau. I've known Jock even before this sneaker stuff, which is crazy. And then the way we reconnected was through sneakers. But when he started, basically Jock started the whole news wave in sneakers. And when he started that, I told him, and then he's changed jobs and everything. I told him, yo, keep that going because that's going to be the lane. And he kept it going. But you see now, people are just now starting to catch up with that. Within probably the last 1 to 2 years, people started doing news again, but it's very few of them. You know, they might have got like, you know, some chick to do it, I mean, actually, it doesn't matter who did it, but it's very few people doing news about sneakers. Now, in terms of the content, I mean, it's been as it always has been. It's up to the art content creators, but here's the problem: content creators are usually creative people, and in sneakers, I mean. Honestly, there's really not a lot of creative people. You just got a lot of people that are into collecting, you know, they're into buying sneakers. That doesn't necessarily make you a creative person just because you like some cool shoes. Me, you know, I'm an artist by profession and just by talent. Like, this is what I do. I've been doing this since I was born, pretty much. So we need more creatives, you know, that just happen to be in the sneakers or at least understand sneakers enough to tell those stories and to create content and give it to the audience.
You've been getting a ton of love from the brands, especially from Nike and Jordan lately. You've been getting almost like, and I remember you know, when you were out there hustling for pairs, you know, we've worked together on a couple to make sure you were good, you know, in the old days.
Thank
But
you.
now, you know, you're getting everything from the brands.
Well, I don't get everything, but
Well, listen, I mean, you get pretty good stuff.
yeah, no, they show love, and the crazy thing about it was they've actually showed love when I slowed Sneds down, and it was really, and it's honestly, if you look at my feed now, there's less art and there's more me. And I have a feeling that might have been a part of it. Like maybe they wanted to see a little bit, you know, more about who the person was, who the personality is. And I think that coincides with anybody that is considered an influencer, is that they want to see who you are. Who you are is the brand, right? And then what you do is just a part of that. Like I've always told people, I don't want to be respected for what I buy. I want to be respected for what I do, you know? I could, yeah, I mean, of course, we've all been through that phase where you're buying everything and, you know, you're showing everybody, look what I bought, look what I bought. But I mean, I'm way past that. Now it's just about this is what Denzel Washington said it. He was just like, I'm a regular dude with an extraordinary job. That's who I am. I'm a regular dude with an extraordinary job.
What
And
is
it's,
it?
hmm,
What is it like for you as an artist to see Jordan Brand collab with an artist like Cause?
oh, I mean, it's dope. It's dope. And then, like, it's always been inspirational. Actually, we got that pair right here. Um, so
Reebok on stunt.
no,
Oh,
no,
no,
no.
no, no.
This isn't a stunt. This is humbling right here. And when I say it's not humbling to the audience, this is humbling to me. When they sent me this thing, hopefully this letter is still in here. Oh crap. Yeah. So this letter right here that they sent, it says, "Hey Tyree, hope all is well. As an animator yourself, we wanted to send you a pair of the Air Jordan 4's Cause shoes. Hope you enjoy, Jordan Brand." So it's like they're recognizing, yes, I'm a guy that makes cartoons, and here's a guy that makes cartoons, but clearly on a higher level than I am. But they see that connection, right? So the connection is like, again, like what I was saying earlier about creatives. They're starting to realize that the creatives, yo, these guys, they exist in the same world, so why not show them love? Now, I don't, like I said, I don't really be on the net like that, perusing to see who else got a pair that was a creative too.
Sure.
But at least they see uh, my connection to other like-minded people, and then hopefully in their, I'm hoping that if you saw that connection, then let us collab. You know. Um,
Is that something that you want? Is that something that you aspire to?
Come on, of course.
I mean,
Of course, who wouldn't
obviously.
want that? Who wouldn't want, like that's
So
just,
what would let's take a walk there. What would Sneds by Ree Jordan Brand collab be? What would that be in your vision?
oh man. I mean, well, number one, it could be a Jordan, it could be a Nike, it could be Nike sportswear, it could be Nike
I mean,
basketball.
if you had to pick though, what would be your if you were given a blank canvas, what would it
Um,
be?
to pick, I mean, if I was to pick, I mean, I'd like this thing back here. The Air Jordan 3 would be great because they don't let anybody touch the Jordan 3. So the Jordan 3 would be dope. And then on the sportswear side, I mean, to do something with the Air Max would be dope, especially after what I just did with the Air Max campaign.
We'll talk about that for a second. Let's go there. So
Okay.
what'd you do with them for Air Max?
I'm surprised I don't have any back here. So for the Air Max campaign, I did two coloring books for Air Max Day, and pretty much we shouldn't even say Air Max Day. It was really Air Max month. Like Nike killed it for the month of March. You couldn't. I mean, shout out to them. It was like, you thought things were popping. Watch how we shut it down for the entire month of March. So I did two coloring books. One was dropped on 316. The other one dropped on 326. The one on 316 was my version, or excuse me, open lines for you as an interactive user of the coloring book to color in the book. You know, just like you were as a kid, you get an open coloring book and you can start coloring. The one on 326 was a fully colored version, no lines, and it had my version. So there's actually two books that exist. I believe there's 500 that are out there. It was in 13 stores in around the LA area out here, and like Foot Actions, Sheiks, Bates, Undefeateds, Shoe Palace, Foot Locker. God, like I said, the blends, 13 locations throughout LA, and then in every, I think out of 25 books per store, every three got you entrance into this event called a Sneak Easy, and I was it was a VIP event on Sunday. Travis Scott performed. Nike LA shut down La Brea. He had a street concert. Like, it was lit out here. It's crazy.
That's dope.
Yeah.
So,
but-
so going back to your blank canvas, you get your way, your dream. What would a Ree or a Sneds by Ree collab look like? On what shoe? What would it be? You can do anything you want.
I mean, it isn't. Well, actually, I wish I still had the pair, but it would kind of be like a Paris dunk, where like on a Paris dunk is Bernard Buffet's art, you know, all on the panels. So it'd be my characters on the panels, and you could pick whatever shoe at that point. But yeah, something like that, or just something that I can freestyle on. I just need the open canvas. Just give me the shoe. Like, it's just an honor just to collaborate with the brand.
Have you gotten into the Adidas wave, or are you all Nike everything?
I wear everything, honestly. I work out in a lot of Adidas stuff, but I'm back and forth. So it's like, if I'm just lifting weights, I'm probably in some Adidas stuff. And then when I'm playing basketball, I'm always in some Nikes. Like, that's without a doubt. I don't play basketball in Adidas. But yeah, I'm on it all.
When you were coming up as a kid, were you into sneakers, or did that interest and that passion
Oh, hell yeah.
manifest as an adult?
This is my original poster from when I was 13 years old. That's 89. This shoe, like the Jordan 3, pretty much set it off. Actually, I was on IG Live. What was that? Earlier this week, I think it was, or last week. I don't remember. But somebody was asking me, like, yo, what was the shoe that set it off? And what I drew live was kind of like a timeline of shoes that kind of tripped me out, like that I really paid attention to. So I grew up in Inglewood, California. Inglewood, California is what they call blood territory. If anybody knows anything about LA and Inglewood, Inglewood is like this little box and it's surrounded by Crips, right? So where I stayed, one of my best friends is a cat named George. This is like 5th grade. I had just moved from my grandparents. They stayed in San Fernando Valley in Pacoima, and gang stuff really wasn't even around there at the time. So I went from that, dropped off in this blood neighborhood. So anyway, George actually came from a family of Crips, and he stayed 2 blocks away from me in the blood area. But his brother was in jail, and I think his dad was in jail at the time. But this fool was still up here repping, and he had some navy blue Cortez with the white swoosh. And then I remember it would be gangsters, like, you know, rolling by, always sweating them. Hey, little homie, what you doing with them blue Cortez on? You know, what's going on with the blue Cortez? Like, I'm like, what's going on? Like, are we about to die right now for your shoes? You know, so it's like, that's one shoe. And then the second shoe, and which actually predates this one, was Puma Wickeds and Clydes. I think the Puma Wicked was probably like the first year. I was like, yo, that's interesting, because it was red. It had the red. It's funny, I want to call it a swoosh because that's what it kind of looks like. But the Puma sign was in red. It was suede and it had gold letters. That shit looked crazy to me. And that was the first time I saw fat laces. I mean, so this just tells you how old I am. But when it came down to, like, okay, now I'm really into this. Like 6th grade is when I actually saw the Air Jordan 2. It was the first time I saw a Nike without a swoosh. And I'm like, what's going on here? And the crazy thing about that shoe was, it was a dude named Carl Moses. We called him Simu. Carl was like I mean, I must have been like 5'6", 5'5", maybe in sixth grade, and Carl was like 4'11", but this fool could jump, and he patterned his game after Michael Jordan. I think he never even grew above 6 feet, but this fool was crazy, and he was rocking these J's. I'm like, yo, those are kind of crazy. Those are kind of cool. But then one night I'm watching Cinemax, which we called Skinamax back in the day.
I mean, come on, it still is.
Right? I don't know. I don't even watch, but so back then, but my little 12-year-old mind is looking at, Skinamax. I think Emmanuel might have just went off or some shit.
Yeah.
And then She's Gotta Have It comes on. And I'm like, what's this? It's like a black and white movie, and it's got an all black cast. And I'm like, I've never seen anything like this. So that's kind of blowing my mind. And honestly, I wasn't even into basketball at the time. So I'm still looking at the film. Obviously, sex is happening. It's kind of funny. And then Mars Blackman comes on TV. I'm like, who's this guy? And then he's got these kicks on. I didn't even know about the Air Jordan 1 at the time. So long story short, after the movie's over, I start paying. I am now into Michael Jordan because of Spike Lee. And then when Spike Lee and Michael Jordan, that's why this poster is up here. When Spike Lee and Michael Jordan come together to start making one of the greatest sports campaigns ever,
without question.
I'm all in. I'm like, I need every pair of these shits. Mom, I can wear T-shirts. You can buy me the bummiest shit, but I just want these damn shoes. And from then on, I was a Jordan head from all that time. So, I mean, back in the day, it was like, I mean, you could probably relate to this. You didn't realize you were a sneakerhead. Back then it was about, for me, it was about, I'm in love with this dude, I'm in love with this dude, Michael Jordan, and I love Spike Lee. So I'm all about these Air Jordans. I bought pretty much every Jordan that pretty much came out. I was a Jordan head. And then probably it didn't happen until maybe 10th or 11th where I started getting into the other shoes. So then that's when like Deion Sanders, Barry Smith, or Charles Barkley stuff, trainers, Bo Jackson's, like you start getting into other athlete shoes. But for years, it was all about this dude. Like that's all you see on my feet is Jordans.
Going back to your coming up in Inglewood, in a time and an area that was dominated by gang activity, did that affect your style? Did it affect what you wore because of the Blood and Crip?
Yeah, a little bit, because I never got the True Blue 3 back then. I had the fire red Jordans, I had the black cements, and I had the white cements, but I didn't get the blues because I didn't want anybody sweating me. And then ironically enough, and I also went to a private school, so I didn't have to worry about walking around in my shoes and getting jacked. I was getting driven home, and then I'm home. And when I get home, the shoes, I mean, we really weren't doing much because, like I said, I came from private school and I had too much homework. So I really wasn't even hanging out at that point. Like I'm pretty much just rocking my kicks at school. And then later, when I'm older, like nobody was really doing that, jacking people for shoes and stuff like that. And then gang activity, not to say it died, but it wasn't what it was when I was really little.
It evolved and it changed over the years.
Yeah, like where I went to school, like gangsters, they were pretty boys at that point. They were pretty boys and hustlers, It's like, and that's not to say I kind of fell into that, but I kind of went into this other area. It was like, yeah, I was an artistic kid, but I was also hustling so I could get more shoes. Like my whole thing was about shoes. Later, it's kind of like what we were saying about how the blogs evolved. My evolution, even back then, was like sneakers, and then it was like, oh no, my gear. So then back then, like Polo was in, Nautica, Timberlands, then you started buying shit like that, like deck shoes, boots, Polo chinos. Like we were just poloed out. And then I know over in New York, they was on their low life stuff, going in there, stealing clothes and stuff like that. I was never on that wave, but I was definitely trying to hustle. And my hustle was art. Like I'd be drawing tattoos for gangsters, not doing the tattoo, but I'd give them the design. I was airbrushing. I did portraits. I did murals. Like art has always been like this little hustle for me. But for me, it was always just to get fresh. Like that's the only amount of money, that I could get anyway. And then I did some little stupid shit on the side too, but we won't talk about that.
I think everybody did stupid shit in their lives. I mean, that's part of being That's part of like growing up or whatever, you know.
Got to do what you got to do.
Did you see the Sneaker News article with the Long Beach Cortez?
No.
So,
Like I said, I have not
so
been on the
Sneaker
blog.
News. Well, I listen. I've never in my life actually gone to Sneaker News to watch or look at something, but
Okay.
this was everywhere because people were really getting on them. They posted. Maybe I can pull it and show you. Sneaker News posted a royal blue Cortez, and I guess Nike's putting it out, and it's got Long Beach on the tongue and on the insole, and in the article they referred to it as a Crip shoe, and it was, you know, let's see if I can show it to you.
That's funny.
It's pretty let's see if we can get it up here. So
Actually,
you can see.
I don't know if this will affect anything, but maybe I can pull it up too.
Yeah, I can show it to you and show it to the audience at the same time. So I don't know if you could see it. Can you see it there?
Yeah.
So it's the Long Beach. It is the Long Beach Cortez, and
Got the LBC on the back. That's funny.
yeah, and in the article, they say
Indirect
that
homage to the Crips.
yes. So, and this took a lot of heat.
Yeah, but see, the funny thing was, I mean, unless my history was wrong, I mean, it is a new color, but I don't ever remember royal blue. Like I said, I remember like a navy. It was never, or like it was more like varsity, not really royal. Or maybe that's considered royal these days. But I mean, but hey, everybody's in an uproar, but that's what it was. I mean, the trust me, the Cortez it was always the gangster shoe. Like, if you're from here, you really know that. Like, so anybody else.
I grew up in New York, and you know, when I was a kid, we didn't have all that, and it came a little later when I was a little older, you know. But we always kind of looked at that in New York. And maybe I'm wrong, but we always kind of looked at those guys that they were wannabes. They weren't official, you know, because we knew that started and grew in LA. So when you saw dudes wearing red and blue talking about that in New York and Brooklyn, you know, I was like, man,
Yeah,
get out of here.
no.
But for us, the Cortez was really the Forrest Gump shoe. You know, and I know it's older than that, but that's where it grew popularity, was Gump wearing the white, red, and blue one.
Yeah, no, the Cortez, I mean, like I said, I'm old. The Cortez been around clearly way before Forrest Gump, and gangsters took that shoe and made it their own. And even when I was saying, like, when I did the little sketch on IG Live, I was saying the Cortez, really, when you look at it, because the puffy forefoot, it really looked like a corduroy house shoe, you know, like that same shape. And I don't know what it was. Gangsters just took to it. Blacks and Latinos, like, that was the shoe. That was the shoe.
It's amazing sometimes the styles and what and who they resonate with.
Yeah.
It really is. So what's the future of Sneds? Have you thought about putting out a book or I don't know, man, like, you know, like a collection, bringing them all together?
Yeah, the funny thing is, a couple of years ago, I was going to put out a book, and then where I had a hard drive with all my stuff on it, and it died. So with that, I actually lost a lot of stuff. But there is ways to get it back. It just won't be as high res. And then I thought about it again last year. And we actually, when I say we, some friends of mine, shout out to Donovan if he's watching, Donovan and Wes, we actually made a Kickstarter video that was supposed to release to get more episodes coming, and the book was going to be a reward that was going to be included, or maybe like a stretch goal or something like that. But nah, definitely. I mean, that's definitely in the cards.
What is the future of? Well, let me go this way. Will we ever see a Sned's character show up on Bob's Burgers?
No, hell no. Nah, Fox. Well, never was a couple of things. Myself as a director, I'm not a writer on the show.
Mhm.
Now, if I did write a show and I was to include something like Sneds in it, now you're talking about two different worlds. You know what I mean? Like, and when I say two for different worlds, like they're totally different styles. Like Sneds doesn't even exist in the Bob's world. Like the characters are actually they're too old. Like they don't even fit in the world. Now, will you see sneaker stories in Bob's? I believe there is one episode about Gene, and that's the funny thing is I still haven't seen it. But I will tell you a secret. I did try to get some Yeezys, some Blink ones on Gene, but it didn't go down. But nah, you won't see Sneds on Bob's at all.
What do you? What would you say to a younger aspiring artist today coming up? How would you advise somebody? I mean, because listen, most creatives don't achieve the level of success that you have. I mean, it's a tough
Thank you.
industry.
Well, it depends. If you want to, like, I always tell people, I have lots of artist friends, you know, via social media, or even in real life. But like, let's talk about the ones in social media. A lot of the ones that I see in social media, I tell them all the time, like, I'm a commercial artist. It's like the difference between being and you can be a very successful one, but like a jazz musician versus somebody that has music videos on, all day, with a major record company. It's like, oh no, that would be the example. A major record company versus an indie artist, right? So I work for the major record company, but when you work for the major record company, you have to put out a certain type of work, right? But the indie artists, they can do whatever they want to do. So my thing is, number one, or you can dwell in both worlds, but it's hard, is you got to choose what kind of artist you want to be. Are you going to be the commercial artist, or are you going to be the indie artist?
But the commercial artist gets paid.
The commercial artist gets paid, but the indie artist can get paid too. But you got to find a lane, a lane that where you, you've made yourself worth just as much or more than the commercial artist. Like that's up to every individual to find out what that lane is. Like, for example, shout out to my dude Hebrew Brantley, right? A lot of people might know Hebrew because Chance the Rapper shouted him out in a rap song, or you might know him because uh, he's been in the news on Complex for selling Jay-Z a painting for 25 grand, something like that. But Hebrew is an independent artist that's carved a lane for himself. But then there's guys like me. I don't sell paintings, but I work on a 5-time Emmy nominated show. So it's all relative. What is your success? Is it, not to say that this is my only success, because trust me, I do other things, but I have to, like I said, I dwell in many worlds, but it's tiring. It's very tiring to dwell in so many worlds, because that means I have to become a Jamaican at that point. I'm working 5 jobs, man, like literally all the time. But I also do it because I love it. I still get a high off of drawing or creating art for money. The fact that somebody wants to pay me to just do what I do, like, that's dope. Like, there's no better feeling. And that when somebody says, here's some money, do that shit you do. That's dope. I get goosebumps even talking about it, every time I talk about it. Like, who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want that? So, but again, you can either sing your song for others, or you can sing them for yourself, or you can do both. All I'm trying to say is it's hard to do both. It's hard to do both.
LeVar Ball. he is the indie guy, right? He decided not to go with the brands, or the brands decided not to go with him. What are your thoughts?
Well, number one, well, a couple of things. Let's start with number one. Number one, he's holding the kids up for ransom, right? So if you say you want $1 billion, right? You want $1 billion automatically. I mean, what else is there to say? There's no counter offer. You know, what are you going to say? Well, hey, LeVar, we only want to give you 100. Well, I said I want $1 billion. Well, the conversation's over with, right? And then
Well, go ahead.
oh, and then number two, look, but at the same time, I like what he's doing. He's doing something a lot of people don't do, which is, forget the upfront money. Like we want to own our own. That's bigger than money. You know what I mean? Like obviously the kid is going to make money. Would it be now? A lot of people might be like, "Are you stupid? Go get that upfront money from whatever company that wants to pay you." But then other people might be like, "Nah, but he's building. He's building. It's a symbol more than anything. Like I said, independence. You can be with the major company or you can be indie. You can still do your thing, indie. No, you won't make as much money, but the respect, it just means more. It means more. Now, I do not like his tactics. I mean, he clearly he's clearly not good at public speaking. I mean, he's getting better. But I see the vision. A lot of people might say that about, or not might, they say that about Kanye. It's like, damn, we don't like, how it's coming out, but there's little nuggets here and there if you're willing to withstand the other, if you're willing to filter through the mess. there is some jewels in there.
So you're comparing LeVar Ball to Kanye West?
In terms of messaging and communication, yes.
What do you think of the shoe?
It's a Kobe knockoff. Like, let's keep it real.
Are you a Laker fan?
Yeah, I'm a Laker fan.
Do you want the Lakers to take Lonzo?
Yeah, he's better than D'Angelo Russell.
Do you think that his pop is writing checks his ass can't cash?
That's tough to say. I mean, because Laker management might be thinking exactly what I just said. That Melo is better than D'Angelo Russell. So it's like they've been like, but everything he's saying is manifesting. Lakers got the number 2 pick. That's not to say the Celtics won't take him just out of spite, But no matter where he's got, like, he's about to be in the NBA, one and done.
I think he's entertaining as hell, LeVar.
Definitely.
I think he's hilarious. And I think people are too tough on him.
Oh, no, they definitely are. I mean, they're not. See, that's what I'm saying about the messaging. I know dudes like LeVar Ball. Like, that's a barbershop. That's a barbershop conversation. That's you chilling with your uncles. Like, I know that guy. You know what I mean? And obviously, I'm not talking about personally, but I know men like that. Like, I have relatives like that. Like, but the problem is when you get it into the media. That's what I'm saying. I compare it to LeVar Ball. I mean, I compare it to Kanye. He had this line in one of these songs. He was like, "I'm talking just like it's me and you." A lot of people, if you're not cut from that cloth, or you don't come from where he comes from, or you're not around those people, that might come off as totally wrong to you. But like I said, I know people like that. So yeah, no, he's totally entertaining. But some of the stuff he says, like when he was talking about the white players and their foot speed and stuff like that at UCLA, it's like, no, bro, you don't say stuff like that. you don't say stuff like that,
When Kanye left Nike to go to Adidas, it left I think Nike underestimated the impact that move had.
I okay. Are you going? You want to go on?
I mean, I wanted to kind of see what your thoughts were before I ask that next question.
Hmm. I don't. I don't actually. I underestimated. Yeah, I don't think they realized the culture shift and how much that meant. But Nike is still Nike. Like,
Oh, of course. Oh, listen, they didn't
you
take
know,
a hit.
yeah, it's like they didn't take a hit. But culturally they took a hit. And this is what I mean about LeVar Ball and symbols. It's like, oh no, like, so if I leave, if I'm Kanye, I leave one big company and I go to this other big company and I brought this bigger company up because of me. That's a symbol, right? No, but you're still not with the biggest. So it's like, hmm. But
Nike,
hmm,
Nike and Jordan was all about the athlete. They were forever about the athlete, and it was such a big deal for Nike to give Kanye his own shoe because he was really the first non-athlete that Nike gave a signature shoe to.
hmm.
And now they've gone in that direction with Drake and with Cause, and they're going in that lifestyle direction. Do you think that Nike is seeing that maybe the future for them isn't athlete based only?
Oh, definitely. But I mean, but it's always okay. If we look at the total business, right? The like Drake and but it's funny. Okay, let's back up. But everybody that they're collabing with is friends with Kanye, right?
Yes.
So you
Don
got
C.
Don C, Drake.
Yep.
Uh, there's other people in the mix that I know about that I won't say anything about, but Virgil, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is all people that came from Kanye's camp. So it's like, oh well, you left. Well, fuck it, we'll bring your homies in. So it's just like, but they still realize they have their. But it makes sense to collab with these people because they're all in the culture. Even Cause. I mean, Cause did the cover for 808s and Heartbreaks. Like it all still when you actually link them back, it still links back to Kanye. It still links back to him. But in terms of collaborating more, yeah, why wouldn't you? Because that number one, that brings people from different audiences in, especially when you collaborate with creatives. Like I said, if you bring Cause in, this is a guy that has his own museum, world renowned. And then the same thing when it comes to Virgil. I mean, this dude. I mean, his clothes. A lot of people might talk crap about him out here, but in Japan, Off-White is large. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the global connection. Nike is a global company, and they kill it. They kill it everywhere, and it would make sense to be with global people. But don't forget about the little guy too. People like me. I'm still here. I'm local.
What do you want to see the brands do going forward? How do you want to see the industry continue to evolve?
Just keep connecting with and tell stories that connect with people and make it make sense. Like this thing that I did with the Air Max campaign. I mean, I'm very fortunate to have worked on it, but but at the same time, it was so organic and it made total sense that I worked on it. And then the same thing with any with the Cause collaboration. I mean, that makes total sense. I mean, you might have wanted a better executed shoe, something that was a little bit more Cause, but I think it was a good uh, meeting in the middle. And then the pictures I'm seeing from the Off-White stuff, I mean, yeah, it's for lack of a better, no pun intended, it's a little off-putting, but I like progression. I like that they're pushing it, like to be willing to deconstruct an Air Jordan 1, a symbol, it's pretty that's impressive to give somebody that kind of freedom to deconstruct an icon, like that. That's heavy. Giving Don C, like, what is this, like his third Air Jordan, I mean, pretty much. I mean, granted, there's not a lot of these pairs floating around, but I mean, just to give him an Air Jordan 2, a shoe that nobody really cares about, if we really want to be honest, and to make that shoe relevant, that means a lot.
But I think one of the things about Jordans is kind of that they maybe should be a little exclusive or a little hard to get. And I think what we've seen recently is Jordan Brand put so many pairs to market and flood the market and raise the price and let them sit on shelves that I think people care less now.
Well, we all know that was for resale. That was to destroy the resale market. And we could definitely say it did, but at the same time, it really didn't because then that's when Adidas came in. It's like, and if you look at it, when you go into the consignment shops, Adidas is on the front shelf.
Yep.
Adidas is all on the shelf, and that's reselling. So it's just like, okay, while you flood, then we just go, when I say we, the consumer, they just go move to the next thing. It's like, well, there's too many of these things. And yeah, you're right. And it's like, well, now demand is less because there's too many, the supply is too many. So it's like, we're not as hype anymore because it's sitting, or, Kanye's not wearing them, or whatever the case may be.
What are some of the spots you like out in LA? What are some of the places you go to regularly?
To buy shoes?
Shoes, clothes. I mean, what's your, like, spots you hit?
Well, to not sound bougie, but I don't really buy shoes anymore. I really buy too many shoes. But if I do, honestly, I'm on totally different things. Like,
but you pop in this. But do you pop in it as a? Listen, I haven't bought a ton of shoes the last 2 years either. But as a guy who likes sneakers, when I'm out and about, I hit the stores, see what's on the walls, even if I'm not buying something.
Well, over the past 2 months, I've been to Undefeated a lot. Undefeated had the pop up for the Nike Air Max stuff. Like, they hosted that. And then I got friends at Bait. I love Bait because I call Bait the Apple Store of sneakers. And the only reason why I call it that is because I love the design. I like the fact that it has everything I love in it. It has toys, clothes, and sneakers. And when I say toys, it's more like collectibles, a little bit of more designer aesthetic. Oh, and art.
Like what kind of collectibles are you into?
Well, I don't really collect myself, but if I was, like, I like pop vinyls. Like, I got it. Here's a Bob's Burgers Tina Belcher pop right here. But I don't really collect too many things. Or, like, this is one of my original Gorilla figures from, I think this is probably like from 2001. And then I like Street Fighter, because I used to whoop fools' asses in video games. So I got some Street Fighter stuff. I mean, there's a couple of little things here, but I know people that are like really collectors. But I still appreciate the art. So I just go in, like, that's a store. Bait is a store I will definitely go in just to look at stuff. And Shoe Palace, because I got people there. I got friends. I love seeing their setup, the way they merchandise. And they throw cool parties. Nice Kicks, love Nice Kicks over in downtown LA. That's where the first Don C pop-up in LA was. It was above Nice Kicks out here. I did my Nike behind the design, I guess you could call it commercial, their YouTube commercial. I did that at Nice Kicks in downtown LA. I've been I was part of an event for High Snob at Nice Kicks downtown LA. So, I mean, I guess those are it. Like Shoe Palace, Bait, Undefeated. Like, that's what I've been around lately. Blends, got to give a shout out to Blends. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Are you into the vintage secondhand wave that's kind of taken over recently?
For shoes or clothes?
Either.
Well, clothing, yes. I've always I've thrifted for a while, like off and on throughout the years. But vintage, I think Gucci, you know, is probably to blame for that, and for good reason, because Alessandro is pulling from classics, essentially, like things that just never die that you can pretty much find in vintage stores, and just taking that inspiration and bringing it back. You know, like we've been in the retro all this time in the sneakers, but now retro is back in the fashion. So yeah, I'm in the vintage clothing now. Vintage shoes, not so much, because you're not really going to find much there, especially in the sneakers. But if you're into stuff like loafers or moccasins or boots or things like that, those would probably be the only footwear choices for you in terms of vintage shopping.
Well, we're at about just under an hour, so I'll get ready to cut this thing a little short here and let you roll. I want, before we do that, what do you have on the horizon? What can we look for from Ree coming out for people who are fans of Sneds, who are fans of Bob's Burgers, who are fans of your art? What can those people look forward to from you creatively?
On the Sneds front, well, a couple of things, but one thing in particular, I've been working with Josh Luber and Nick Ingval on something special with StockX. So watch out for that. I have a project.
Have you been out there?
Yeah, I visited in November. Yeah, okay. In November, really dope. They're doing great things, and and everything Josh said he was going to do, he's doing. So they got the StockX watches, StockX handbags.
Yep.
Stuff is coming to fruition, so it's about to be a takeover. And then I have some other projects in development that I can't disclose, but hopefully sooner than later. And then on the Bob's Burgers front, well, as it stands at this moment, I am a Bob's Burgers licensee. So if that still stays the way it is, I'm hoping to do some special collaborations with that and release basically Bob's Burgers products by Ree. So that's special and unprecedented in my industry. So
when I posted the little flyer I made for this show, a lot of people were commenting at me, and I saw some at you, like asking where you could get that shirt too. So I think that's something that people are looking forward to for you.
Yeah, no, it's funny. The whole point of starting to release show products was basically because, again, I saw a need in the marketplace, and I believe that if I use my influence and my abilities, creative abilities, that I can put something special together that's going to bring in my audience and Bob's Burgers audience together, and they're going to make love and enjoy these new products, hopefully.
Well, listen, man, hey, I wish you the best. I appreciate an hour of your time. We've been trying to work this out for a while to get you on here. I thought it was dope to kind of get an inside look at some of the things you do. I've been a fan of Sneeds and the things that, your art and your work for a long time. So I appreciate an hour. I wish you the best, and thanks for coming on.
Thanks, bro. Thanks for having me.
Yep. All right, man. Take it easy, guys. I'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.